Okay, today I'm going to go over my presentation for the unit I created. Um, I did mine on the TEKS that cover informational text and researching, and then incorporated some technology into that. So we'll start on my LiveMinder, the Just for Teachers tab. It has a video that the teacher can use to introduce ancient Egypt with a video guide. It also has a calendar of the events for the whole unit. I kind of just laid that out to have for basically for me next year whenever I do the unit again. But it has a whole 6 weeks unit on the different components of ancient Egypt that we cover. In addition to that, the TEKS are also listed here that it covers mainly for language arts, and certain parts of it are highlighted. Not every single TEK will go into the unit that I'm talking about, or the part of the unit that I'm talking about today, but and then there are other components to this unit, but we're going to stick with the research component, which is on pharaohs. So in order to start the unit, I did a picture this activity. I showed students a picture of a pharaoh to kind of get some prior knowledge, some background to see what they already knew about pharaohs, which surprisingly was not a whole lot. So what we did was I showed them this picture, and that's all I showed them was just the picture of the pharaoh. And they had their laptops up, and we were in, I believe we used Tagxedo for this particular activity, but I had them go in and just type in as many words as they could think of that related to pharaohs. I prompted them with clues like it could be characteristics of a pharaoh, where they thought pharaohs ruled, maybe why they thought pharaohs ruled, what they looked like, what they acted like, anything they could think of that had to do with pharaohs. And then they would create the Tagxedo or the Wordle. After I got some of their background knowledge, kind of figured out what they knew, we went and watched a BrainPop video as a class, and it was on the Egyptian pharaohs. It basically, they learned the hierarchy of ancient Egypt, the Egyptian society, the roles that the pharaoh played, why they were worshipped, and some common symbols of the pharaoh, and then they even were introduced to some of the most famous pharaohs. After they completed the video on their laptops, they went and took a quiz in Google Docs. This kind of let me know, kind of assess a little bit more their knowledge as we gradually got into the unit. So once they had a more solid foundation regarding pharaohs, I gave them some freedom to kind of explore some of the most famous pharaohs. And under each of the pharaohs' names on their tab, it has some websites that they can click on. And on the website, it has information about their pharaoh that they can use for part of their research. And then it also has a video that they can quickly watch regarding their pharaoh. This one happens to be on Cleopatra, who was very popular in this research activity, by the way. After they picked their pharaoh, then we kind of brainstormed what would be some good things to look for to include in their presentation. And some of the things that we came up with were the strengths that their pharaoh had, their weaknesses, and how they contributed to ancient Egyptian history. So those were some things that I kind of had them look for and think about as they researched their pharaoh. I kind of let them turn them loose on this activity. I kind of gave them a starting point. I told them by no means did they have to stick to these websites. They were just a place to start, and I knew that they were safe for kids, but they were more than welcome to use appropriate websites to continue their research, even if it wasn't on here. And a lot of them did. A lot of them found other information that was really good. So it worked out very well. Once they kind of got a bunch of notes together and thought of some good questions and some information, we talked about the product choice menu. And the way that I introduced this, basically I told them that they get to pick how they want to present their information. Everybody has to present, but they can each do it in a way that they're comfortable with. So I created a leveled choice board menu, and it's leveled based on the difficulty of the assignment, the technology involved, and how much they need to present in their assignment. So for example, the green's easy, yellow's medium, and the red is harder. For my lower students, I kind of told them they could pick from yellow and green areas. If they felt like they could do the challenge of the red, they were more than welcome. For my low babies, I kind of let them pick from the green so they weren't overwhelmed with the rest. They were comfortable with that. They didn't really feel comfortable with the other ones. But if they had, I would have been more than welcome to let them choose whatever they wanted. My higher students were able to pick from yellow, red, and there were some students that I kind of just let them pick whatever they wanted. And it seemed that most of them challenged themselves. Nobody seemed to pick anything that was too easy, which was surprising, and it was nice. They were also able to view the rubric for their product, which kind of breaks down what I was going to be grading them on based on the content, the information, the research, the thinking and communication, how they expressed their ideas. Were they clear? Did they give good examples? Kind of this is where I tied in that text evidence and things like that they needed to be backing up their information. Technology, what kind of level of technology was used based on what was expected for that student and their presentation when they presented their products. So even though some students could only pick from certain colors, that doesn't reflect they wouldn't automatically get a beginning score. It just depends on what was right for them individually. So very individualized for the rubrics. And that's about it. There's some other activities that we incorporated in this unit, but this is the part that I wanted to share with you guys for my curriculum unit. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.